Happy New Year! It's a new year. It's a new us. It's a new you. Everything is made new.
New year, new you.
Exactly. This is going to be a fun one today because we owe you guys some apologies. 5 of them to be exact. Or we were at least pretty wrong about 5 things when we started this channel a few years ago.
Snap.
We're going to get into them right now.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh, and today we're talking about 5 things that we were wrong about. We might owe you guys an apology for some of these things, maybe all of them, because it's stuff we've talked about on the channel over the years, and our opinions have changed, or our stances have changed, and you know what? It's a new year. It's a new us. It's a good time in your life to look back, reflect on the things that we did well in the past year, and the things going into the next year that maybe we want to improve upon, or at least that's the way I look at New Year's. Hopefully you're off to a good one already.
Hopefully.
But getting into this list, we've got 5 things, and the first one is going to be weeded bourbons. Now, before the channel started, me right here, was ready to spend my entire fun money budget every month on buying Weller Antique on secondary because I had tasted it with family and with friends, and I really loved it. And I was just like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to spend my whiskey budget every month on buying as much Weller Antique 107 as I can find. Fast forward a few years, neither of us really like weeded bourbon all that much.
Yeah.
So we've definitely changed our stance on that. And if you watch the channel, you probably know that that's played out over the years.
Yeah.
Erin especially, you just don't like weeders.
Most of them, not all of them, but most of them have just this weird, funky funk to them that I don't like. There have been some that don't, and I do like those, so I'm kind of hit or miss. I will just stay away from them if at all possible, though.
Yeah. And for Erin, she does tend to like rye and a little bit more earthy pours. And for me, while weeders are good in general, they have a good sweetness to them, the lack of the rye spice in the mash bill, in the grain profile, it is just lacking something for me. Like it's a missing component that is there in other bourbons. I like that little bit of spice. I like that little bit of bite. I like spicy food. I like impactful bourbons. I don't necessarily like it when they come across really soft. It's just not our thing. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be your thing. But when we started this channel, I thought they were my thing, so much so that I was ready to go blowing a bunch of money on them, only to find out after a bunch of blind tastings that they're really not my thing at all. So again, reminding you guys to do your blind tastings helps you a lot in learning what your palate actually likes, separate and apart from the labels and the hype and the bias. Next up is going to be Buffalo Trace. Just like I said with Weller Antique, I was ready to blow all my money, and before we started the channel, and before the channel started, I did blind tastings before the channel started. Before doing those blind tastings, I was out there looking for all the Buffalo Trace stuff I could get my hands on, just like I'm sure so many people are out there as well. Well, we know that. We see the lines. You hear about it all the time. After doing some blind tastings, not really something I love all that much. Like, it's good whiskey. Do not get us wrong. We both tend to like Buffalo Trace. Erin actually likes Buffalo Trace.
I like a little bit more than
products
you do.
A little bit more than I do. But in blind tastings, it's not any better or worse than other distilleries. It's just good whiskey. Like there's a ton of other good whiskey out there. So again, we always say it over here, fight the FOMO, fight the fear of missing out. If you're not getting your hands on that bottle, don't worry about it. It'll come around at some point in time, or maybe you'll find a bar to try it out in or something, or join our Discord. We got the best dang whiskey community on planet Earth. And if you want to get a part of that, you can check the video description below for a link to our Patreon. People are always trading samples. If there's something you want to try, just post up that you want to try something. And I guarantee you somebody's going to be able to help you out. That's what we do. We help each other out because we value relationships and community over just the bottles of whiskey. That's just what brings us together. That sounds like your thing. That's a Patreon down there in the video description below. It's also where we do our barrel picks and all that stuff. But mid pitch aside, which I didn't even mean to do, it just came up conversationally. But Buffalo Trace stuff is good stuff, and there are products from Buffalo Trace that are some of my favorite whiskey out there. I love anything with those stag antlers on the bottle, whether it's Stag Junior, George T. Stag. Absolutely love that stuff. Love a lot of the Buffalo Trace Antique collection. But a lot of their other products, they're just good. And that transitions perfectly, talking about Buffalo Trace products, into the secondary market.
And you've changed your stance on the secondary market, have you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I don't know that you have a strong opinion on this one way or another.
I don't have an opinion.
But I had a very strong opinion against the secondary market years ago when we started this channel.
Yeah.
Now, I have softened that stance considerably, mainly because I realized I was being pretty hypocritical because there's other hobbies I'm involved in where hard to get things do command a premium price, and I am willing to pay that price for those things, but I was staunchly against it on the whiskey side because it was a consumable. It just didn't make sense to me at the time, you know?
Okay, so what changed?
Well, I think what changed is I realized that I would rather the products be available, even if it is at an increased cost, rather than just not available at all. Like, it's fine to say that you would love to have a Stag Junior. I love Stag Junior, Stag Bourbon. It's one of my favorite products that Buffalo Trace makes. And I used to be salty about paying up for it. I only wanted to get them at or near suggested retail price. And I wasn't going to pay more than $100 for a bottle, but oftentimes I would only want to pay $60 or $80. And I didn't get very many of them at that price. And now I like to have a bottle around. And if I want a bottle and it is available out there for a couple of $100 and I'm willing to pay that, you know, I guess the capitalist in me has come around. You know, I'm that way in everything. The market sets the price.
Yeah.
And, you know, if people don't want to pay the prices will come down, which is actually what we've seen recently with the economy and everything. The secondary market prices are coming down. At stores that mark things up at a really high cost or a really high price, things are sitting longer there. So, you know, I think that is helping too.
Yeah.
Like the delta has shrunk between the suggested retail price and the secondary price or the marked up price that some stores charge. And that makes it a little easier to stomach as well. But let's just say you're retiring. Let's say, you know, your father or your son or whoever's getting married or something, and you want to buy them a special bottle. At least you can find it, even if you got to pay a pretty penny for it. It's better that it's out there.
And with that being the case, you can choose whether or not you want to pay that pretty penny. Like it's up. The choice is up to you, which still keeps you in the driver's seat. Whether or not you'd want to pay that or not, you can still choose.
Yeah, but if it's not out there, then you don't have that option to choose.
Yeah.
As is the old adage in football, the best ability is availability. Kind of like that with bourbon too.
There you go.
But transitioning perfectly from the secondary market, we're going to go into budgets. And I think our opinion on budgets has softened considerably.
Mine has.
Yours definitely has.
For sure. And I think for me, it's getting more acclimated and more comfortable with what would be reasonable in the whiskey sphere. Yeah. And having priorities within that. Like, whereas before, I didn't care about any whiskey. No whiskey was worth over $50 to me. But the more I've gotten to try good whiskey, the more I realize that I would be willing to pay over, let's say, my $50 threshold for it. So I have softened up a lot. I would say considerably on budget. Not that I'm like going to say, let's just go blow our budget, but I'm willing to pay a little bit more than it used to be 2 years ago when we started this channel. Yeah, and I think what that comes with is tasting a lot of things and realizing that there are things out there that we really do enjoy. Yeah. And we can't get them if we're only going to stick to a $30 budget or a $50 budget. Now, with all that said, we are going into this new year and we are going to be starting a new series here on the channel called Budget Bourbon Finds. We're not necessarily taking you bourbon hunting with us. That's not really our style. There's a lot of great channels out there that do that sort of content if you're interested in it. But for us, we're just going to go and see with about $30 what we can buy at a store. Give or take. Give or take. The first one coming up is going to be Old Granddad 114 on the channel in a few weeks. It was $32.99 in our local stores. But yeah, we've got, you know, who knows what we'll find for that price tag ballpark. But we'll do a video series here recurring on the channel because while we are gravitating personally towards higher priced bottles, because specifically we're not volume drinkers. We're much more quality over quantity type of people. And if we have to pay a few more dollars for something that we enjoy, you know, we'd rather pay like $60 for something we enjoy twice as much as having a $30 bottle that we enjoy half as much. Yeah. Or two $30 bottles that we enjoy half. We don't need 2 bottles. We just would rather have the $60 bottle that we like. And that definitely was not our stance when we started the channel. Correct. And that has gone into the way that we talk about and rate and evaluate whiskey over here as well. So just an interesting point to note, if you're looking for volume drinking and
we've done plenty of videos about inexpensive, good mixers out
Yeah.
there that you can get your hands on.
That would be good for mixing and also for sipping neat. So you kind of you can do both.
Yeah, but we really do try to come at things from a quality over quantity standpoint over here. Try to be responsible with our drinking and all that stuff too. Encourage you to as well. This hobby can get away from you. Starting a new year off, don't start there. And the last thing is actually this channel itself. Our opinion on this channel has changed quite a bit over the years.
Mine hasn't.
Are you serious? Well, I guess you are have been on the same wavelength of just like not taking any of the whiskey stuff too seriously, which we don't take whiskey seriously at all.
Yeah.
And we don't take ourselves seriously at all either. But when we did start the channel, I did take the production of the content very seriously.
Fact.
And
so much so where I would get in trouble for just like saying something that wasn't on the script.
yeah, we tried to stick to a script early on. It just was not for us. And I think now, like these types of videos, we've learned that we enjoy them so much more when they're way more conversational with you guys. The entire idea of starting this channel and what we felt like we could bring to the Whiskey Tube space was making you feel like you're sitting down in our home with us, having a pour, talking about a topic. And when you're sticking to a script or trying to hit certain talking points throughout videos, it just comes across kind of unnatural.
Well, it can come across that way, and it did
for us.
Yeah. So we're more off the cuff. I will say, I don't think my opinion has changed, but this is something that I didn't think about when starting this channel, is the community that is around this channel. I had no idea. Obviously, I'd never done a YouTube channel before this, so I didn't even think about the community aspect. I was just like, oh, I'll be drinking whiskey with my husband and putting it on the internet. That's cool. And now there's so many people that we talk to on a regular basis that I would have never met had we not ever done this, which I'm very thankful for. And I haven't changed my opinion on it. I just didn't even know that was a thing, and I'm so grateful that it is.
Right. You've expanded your horizons a little bit.
For sure.
But yeah, so that's realistically speaking, the reason we wanted to bring this specific talking point up was because going into the new year, I mean, we're still taking content production seriously. Like I've spent a ton of time trying to dial in and tweak and refine the studio setup. Things look a little differently if you're watching this video compared to the bulk of our content last year. We're just trying to push towards that vibe of having you feel like you're sitting down right across from the bar top here with us, hanging out and talking, having a good time. But yeah, we're just going to be a little bit more loose, a little bit more free on the channels, a little bit more, laissez-faire as it were.
All right.
We're going to loosen up a little bit. You can hold me to that.
I was about to bust into a song that probably wasn't appropriate, so you're welcome for that.
All right. Well, we're going to end it there, guys. Again, if you like this style of content, this conversational, kind of hanging out style of content, we're going to get more of it on the channel.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. So if you want to join in on that, be sure to subscribe, like the video, hit the bell down there if you'd like to join us for a live stream. Those are always one of our favorite things because we have a back and forth conversation with you guys. Yep. Yeah. Again, check the Patreon below if you want to join our online community, get our barrel picks. We've got a bunch of good plans in 2024 for you guys. Yep. I think that's it.
That's it for today. So be good to each other, everyone. Until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.